All right, Democrats have gone after Trump for some ridiculous things. It's just fact. But you won't believe this absurd claim from Nancy Pelosi after the president pulled the plug on her overseas trip, you know, the one where you, the taxpayers, were footing the bill for them, Pelosi and the other Democrats. Well, they decided to fly commercial. Plans for that trip were allegedly leaked to the media, and Pelosi is now blaming the White House. I know you're shocked. Yes, the Speaker of the House actually accusing the President of the United States of endangering a group of congressmen. It's unreal. You got to watch this.
We had a report from Afghanistan that the president outing our trip had made the scene on the ground much more dangerous because it's just a signal to the bad actors that were coming.
To make that type of accusation, it is outrageous that she would accuse the President of the United States of putting any life in jeopardy. In fact, the reason he didn't want her to go is because he's trying to protect American citizens.
All right, now joining me, nationally syndicated columnist Adriana Cohen and Democratic strategist Scott Levinson. Scott, how can Pelosi possibly make this claim without having the evidence to back it up?
Well, she says very clearly she was told by folks in Afghanistan that this was the case. What I'm unclear about is, are we not sure that the president is being petty? Are we not sure that he's being unpresidential, both of which he proves every day? Or are we not sure that he's putting Americans in harm's way? Because clearly his statements about ISIS in the previous weeks put Americans in harm's way. So he has a habit of misstating, speaking off the cuff in ways that endanger Americans. This wasn't
so
a junket.
So isn't she being a little bit petty, Scott, by her statement?
I actually think what's remarkable is that no one goes to Afghanistan to have a good time. No one goes to Afghanistan on some kind of political junket. So to frame this as if it's some kind of taxpayer boondoggle is silly. These are congressional delegates going to learn about what's going on in Afghanistan. That should be respected for what it is.
All right, so for the record, and I think a lot of people in the audience know this, I've been to Afghanistan on official trips. I went there in 2013. I went through military, so I landed at Bagram. She would have landed at Kabul airport, and I spent time on that flight line with the Air Force team that was building it, the 15-nation team led by General Michel. So I know the airport. Also, when you book that many commercial flights, Adriana, when you do that, it is public knowledge. There's nothing to lead. People just have to leak. People just have to put in their common sense. So tit for tat, petty. She's accusing the president of being petty, but this is not information that's being hidden or secure when you book that many commercial.
Absolutely. I mean, Steve, are you kidding me? Do you actually think that the American people wouldn't notice that all these high-ranking Democrats disappeared during the government shutdown? I mean, you've got to be kidding me. Obviously, the American people would know that this happened. So,
wait a second. Who knew? Did you know? Before the president said anything, did you know? So clearly,
let her finish her point.
If they took this trip, the American people would have known about it. And here's what I know, is that Nancy Pelosi's #1 responsibility is to the American people, and it's to keep our citizens safe. It is not the time for her to be jetting off overseas during a government shutdown when 800,000 American workers are 800 American workers are not getting paid. She should be securing the border, stopping drugs from coming in.
How about we end the shutdown? If you're that concerned about the 800,000 workers, why don't we just end the shutdown?
Okay, so to that point, Steve, to that point, how do you end the shutdown if you don't stay in Washington and do the work? Now, put aside the tit for tat and the pettiness, whatever anyone wants to call it. Nancy Pelosi, a congressional delegation, by the way, all their staffers are being paid. The White House employees, a lot of them are already furloughed. Okay. So that's a difference going on right there. So the congressmen and senators have their full staffs, full budgets, so they're not in Washington doing the work while saying they're concerned about the people being furloughed.
But it's clear.
So how do you reconcile that with her actions?
Because it's just disingenuous. when the president created a crisis on the southern border that never existed in the first place that led to
How did he manufacture the crisis?
Because there is no crisis on the southern border. It doesn't exist. It's a myth.
Are you kidding me?
No one is hiding under that table.
Hang on. Let me go to Adriana on this, because the numbers tell a different story. 60,000 people over the last 3 months, significant increase in children being brought here.
All security personnel speak to the other border crossings as being more porous than our southern border. So why don't we look at a comprehensive way of dealing with undocumented workers crossing our border?
Let me ask you this. If walls don't work, hang on. Okay. If walls don't work, where is the Democrat calling for taking down the existing wall? Then I want to go to Adriana. But where's the Democrat? If they don't work, why don't you want to take down the existing walls?
Because what we actually are talking about is a comprehensive approach to immigration, a path to citizenship. That's what's required, not this demagoguery that's going on out of the White House about.
All right, I've got to get a quick one from Adriana so I can wrap this. Put aside all of these other issues, go back to where we were.
It's not a manufactured crisis. I trust our Border Patrol. I trust ICE. They're all patriots. They're telling politicians, we need help. We need the wall. We need increased security. So this is not coming from, out of thin air. This is from the people on the ground who risk their lives for this country every single day.
There are other border crossings that are more porous. Every one of them say that.
All right, guys, I've got to wrap it here. Like Congress, this is not going to be resolved anytime soon. But Scott, Adriana, I want to thank you. Sorry about mixing your name up there. The passion of the moment.
Of course.
Thank you both, panel. I thought Mexico was supposed to help.